Star Wars, it's always been kind of timeless. It's always been something that everybody could watch and enjoy. And it's just another one of these things, just like sticking in like this stuff that they tried to do, the movies like Strange World that Disney does, that obviously it's meant for kids. And they put gay, lesbian themes in it, like directly with children. Or the Disney Plus show that they removed that entire episode from because people found out there was going to be an episode where the two kids on the Little League team were going to identify as trans. It was going to be a whole episode about trans kids, a show for kids. And again, it's like everything that we're touching now with all these franchises, like, okay, it's nothing sacred anymore. Can we just have one thing? But here we go. Andor creator, showrunner, Tony Gilroy for Disney, Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, Star Wars, explains that at the end of this is the third episode of Andor. So they're dropping 3 episodes per week right now for Andor for 4 weeks because Disney desperately needs to have a strong showing in the Nielsen and Luminate streaming data because they're getting murdered by every other streaming service out there. And especially with big IPs like Marvel and Star Wars, they can't get anything to hit. So they had 2.5 hours of content this week of Andor. So towards the end of the third episode, so 2 hours into this, if you could survive all the way through it, there's a scene where this character here on screen, I think her name is Bix. I did not watch it all. I fast forwarded to the scene to see what this was all about. So one of the Imperial officers who has her captive, who's been kind of stalking her the whole movie kind of thing, finally decides he can't take it anymore, so he goes to physically assault her in this case. There is no graphic nudity or sexual stuff that goes on. It's just she basically bashes him in the head before he can follow through with what he's going to do. And there's a moment right after that, the next scene, she runs out as all the other guards, stormtroopers and otherwise, trying to see what's going on. The lieutenant walks out. This guy that she beat on the head, he falls over flat on the floor. What happened? She runs out and she says, he tried to me, right? So that is now on record. This is now a Star Wars thing. People love to talk about Andor. Oh, it's a show for adults. It's more adult themed and all this. Like, look, Star Wars was Star Wars. It was timeless for a reason. It was for general audiences for a reason. You want to take shows in this direction, okay, proceed at your own peril. But I mean, just before we get to Tony Gilroy's comments, which was what's in this article, that is the scene. So ladies, get your thoughts on this. You have a scene now where this is a theme, this is an element, and whether Disney intended it to be or Gilroy intended it to be or not, it is now the most famous element of this show's premiere right now. This is what the headline is. It's all about this scene.
Well, maybe that was intentional. Maybe that's his version of like shock and awe to put a SA scene in Star Wars. I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous. I think it's not even think. I know. If you go back to the original trilogy of Star Wars, yes, there's adults in it. Yes, there's adult themes. It all throughout Star Wars, but it's also very family friendly, like constantly throughout Star Wars. And I've been saying this for a while. Disney does not. They go from one extreme to the other. They go from having an SA scene in Star Wars to a really kiddie show that like I'm not going to be drawn to in Star Wars. They don't really know how to make, outside maybe those first 2 seasons of Mandalorian, they don't know how to make what the original trilogy was, which was family friendly. It appeals to all ages.
Well, I got berated left and right for a random comment I posted on Excellence.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yes, I've been enlightened in many ways of what kind of a person I am, because I have a problem with an SA scene in Star Wars, and it baffles me how many people, they were telling me that, because I was saying that I have a problem with a franchise that is primarily family friendly, including things like this that does not further, number one, it doesn't further the plot at all. You could have this without, the show without it. Yeah, there it is. And people were telling me that family friendly, it's like, since when was Star Wars family friendly? You have people getting their hands cut off. You have people getting stabbed. You have slaves and and Leia was sexually assaulted, and all these kinds of nonsensical things that some were not even in there. And people are saying, you're trying to dismiss this. You're just not mature enough for this content. Grow up. I have a whole other thing about this whole nonsense of you need to grow up, because it's almost like it's expected now that once you become an adult, you need to accept the fact that you need to enjoy things like this because you're an adult. That is a very bizarre take for me, but is the fact that the thing about Star Wars is that they dealt with heavy topics, but it was still done in almost, you could say, a lighthearted way, where it was done off screen or it was downplayed. Yes, we saw, for example, with Darth Maul get severed in half, but there was no gore, there was no excessive blood,
Yes.
there was no dramatic screaming.
There was no blood.
There was no blood because we obviously it gets cauterized too. I mean, that's canon, that's in the books. But they were, a lot of people were constantly pointing out about Leia, and it's like there is an extreme difference.
What
Now,
about Leia?
Yeah,
When was
because
she S8?
Exactly.
When Jabba licks.
Oh yeah,
like,
they said when Jabba, pulled her towards him and he flicked his tongue. They're like, he just wanted to tongue Leia.
Yeah,
It's like
she
that's
pulled
not
away.
exactly.
That never happened.
There's a big difference between a woman inappropriately dressed in a bikini with a chain around her neck, standing around posing as a sex slave, versus having a man beat up a woman while she's bleeding, attempt to tear her clothes off and take advantage of her. There is a big difference between those two scenes. Now, again, it's subjective as to what you find moral, integral, what you want to show your kids. I understand that. Most people who know me and have conversations, I'm very, very selective with the things that I watch, and I have a certain standard. But why is it that adults feel that this is the stuff that makes a show better? A lot of people were telling me that as well. They're like, grow up. This is a darker version of Star Wars. This stuff is necessary so people feel more immersed in the world. It's like, I thought we watched TV to get away from the real world problems. They were also telling me that I was trying to cope and just pretend like these problems don't exist. They're like, the Empire is evil, so of course they would do things like this. I did not say that they wouldn't do things like this. I am simply saying that this, number one, I just don't think this has a place in Star Wars. But it's like, you don't need scenes like this for the show to be good. You can imply things like this because Star Wars did that all over the place. Now, the only time that I would say where Star Wars, quote unquote, took it too far, where I can understand the reasoning of some people, is when we do see Anakin get burnt to a crisp. That was the first Star Wars film to be PG-13. And when I was a child, that was too much for me. I mean, I was a sensitive kid. So to each their own, each kid will be different. And that's why parents are important. But it still is downplayed compared to a graphic kind of burning scenario, right? And they didn't focus in on it. Like, it was a back and forth. Anakin gets burnt to a crisp. We go to, Obi-Wan Kenobi. We go back to Anakin. I hate you. We go back. Like, it wasn't like we were really drawing out this horrible scene. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, I don't know. The amount of adults that were telling me I just need to get over myself because, and just making like, it's okay that sexual assault scenes are in shows like this. The other thing was too, they're like, it's rated TV 14, get over yourself. It's like, okay, so you're telling me we should be subjecting 14-year-olds to sexual assault entertainment like it's normal. There's a reason we have MA ratings. I don't know. That was a lot of back and forth. And I just was really shocked at how many people were upset that I didn't appreciate an attempted scene in Star Wars.
I think that's the thing, is that it's in Star Wars. You can do this in almost any other show, and it is what it is. But Star Wars is, like I said, it's always been kind of timeless. It's always been something that everybody could watch and enjoy. And it's just another one of these things, just like sticking in like the stuff that they tried to do, or the movies like Strange World that Disney does, that obviously it's meant for kids, and they put gay, lesbian themes in it, like directly with children. Or the show that they had, the Disney Plus show that they removed that entire episode from because people found out there was going to be an episode where two kids on a little league team were going to identify as trans. It was going to be a whole episode about trans kids, a show for kids. And again, it's like everything that we're touching now with all these franchises, like, okay, it's nothing sacred anymore. Can we just have one thing? Point is that this is how we wind up with this, right? This is what we got to talk about with this one, because all this ties into this. Tony Gilroy.
Can we just stop? I'm sorry. Can we just stop putting as a plot device, period?
Thank you. Yeah.
Unless it's a pivotal part of the plot and character motivations, I really don't get why has become such a plot device. It's so bad that you have CinemaSins literally saying all bad guys are It is a trope in Hollywood. And I'm really done. I'm tired of it. I'm with you, Tabitha, and I don't care what you guys say. I'm also okay not with seeing child murder on screen. And guess what? That was implied. Most men their stomachs curdle at the idea of child abuse, child murder on screen. It is a biological distaste for most men. Most men do not like to see that on screen. So generally speaking, when it comes to child abuse or murder, it is done off screen. I have a channel where we do true crime. A lot of my viewers will not watch if we do any true crime that involves children because it is so upsetting to them. And so I just don't understand why it's okay for men to be shielded from reality, because there's tons of child abuse in the world. There's tons of child murder in the world. That's a reality. That's the real world. But you don't see it being used as a plot device. It's always rape. And I'm done. I'm tired of it.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.